the point I'm trying to make is I just think that, I don't know, you need to be with someone who you love equally. And the moment there's that acknowledgement from either party that decides that this person clearly loves me more than I love them and vice versa, then you're kind of already acknowledging the death of that relationship, because you're always going to be believing that you're living in a lie just so that you can have someone who's obsessed with you. And that's like a narcissistic belief of what a relationship should be. And that's, for me, the saddest thing. That's the sad way that we go into relationships in this generation as well, because we put up with toxicity because we're like, well, if they chose me, that means it's still, I should be lucky that they still chose me and I still have someone. Oh my God, that they love me, and look how good looking they are. I don't care if they're narcissistic and they're going to hurt me. I'm so grateful that someone that's good looking like someone like me. So I'll put up with all these like narcissistic tendencies and feed it, and then allow people to believe this is how you get the chick that stays or the guy that stays, and that's the reason why in relationships I will never ever wanting to be in the dynamic of wanting someone to love me more than I love them, and or them to love me more than, or whatever, the vice versa of that.
Love shouldn't be a competition.
It shouldn't, but that's how people see it, because people are fear-based to believe that a toxic relationship is true love, and they put up with it. And they believe in their twisted mind that they should be grateful to have somehow been picked by that person. And the reason why that narcissistic tendency is hurting them so much should also just be like what comes with the territory of wanting someone that like is so attractive in your eyes, whether it's be just physical lust or the way they make you feel in some weird sadistic way. And I'm understanding that my relationship type back then was very much like going for people that I almost felt like I can fix, and can always be like their emotional punching bag until somehow help them understand that, okay, maybe I'm hurting myself and I'm also hurting people around me. How do I change? You think that you're going to do that, but no, if you actually are very sacrificial in the way you love someone, you're actually just going and going until you can't go anymore, until you like pretty much die, both spiritually and potentially even physically. And I think that's my mom's love style. That's how she put up with my dad. And I think that, it was sad to the very bitter end. It was the most heartbreaking thing that's how her version of love was felt in this lifetime. And I think that I was seeing that, I was loving that way with the past three people I loved. And now look, I've been, single since my last partner and I split for the most part. And, things maybe are changing now in some dynamics in my life, but it's interesting to think about how long I put up with that for pretty much my entire dating life. I put up with such abuse, and I thought it was normal, and comes with the territory of finding love that I never wanted to break out of it, because I just was like, how do I? That's all I know. And when I started realizing, oh, that's not how you're actually supposed to be receiving love, then it makes you want to start actually seeking the real meaning of love, and trying to actually feel something different, branching out and feeling actually good about things at all times, not just sometimes, but like at all times, or most times at least. But I don't know. I think people got to start collectively looking for someone that they feel is aligned with themselves, like as individuals, and also can share those alignments.
Aligns yourself and share those alignments, as well as makes each other stronger within themselves.
It's like spiritual cords. We all have spiritual cords to one another, right? So you want to strengthen those bonds, and how do you do that?
You take the two halves and you put it together as a whole, and it has to be not a perfect fit, but kind of.
I actually never liked that mentality. I actually never believed the mentality that there's like two halves to one whole. I never believed that. What I always believed is that
coming together stronger.
I think that everyone's broken and shattered pieces, and people build themselves up with those pieces they find that the universe has planted for them as a journey, as like a board game, like you're making it to the end. So you collect these little like star fragments that are really what makes up you. And then when you finally collect them all, you're like all as one, your third eye is open, and you're now like a super being, a human of God, as an angel rather, and I feel like that's the only way you can do all that, is by unlocking those fragments and collecting them. And that's why when people are like, "Oh, I believe there's two halves," and you just find your other half and you create one whole, it's like, no, I think you're building yourself to be your one whole. And then when you're one whole and someone else is like one whole piece as well, you then add to the creation of something even more grand, more beautiful together. But you're only adding to each other's lives. You're never taking away, or you're never apart from them, and that means that you're half of yourself now. That I don't believe that. I think you are always whole. You should always be your whole self.
I meant more of it like coming together and become stronger together.
Yeah.
Not like it's just like you're saying, like half of me and half of someone else, and it makes a whole. And then when you leave, like you just said, you just lose half of yourself. No, it's not that. It's more of you become stronger.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful that I've had the ability to also have, many siblings. Like being one of seven, I've learned that, wow, like identify when your siblings were that heartbroken and like see their behaviors and like seeing how intense it was as it was their first experience, and like they had less references because maybe they were the first to experience it. They're like, it was like the end of the world for them, and it really affected them in really negative ways. And I remember being a kid being like, wow, like I don't even know what love is, and I don't even know what a real relationship is like. So I'm seeing that this is like potentially the outcome. Hell no, I don't want to experience that. So I would always see that whenever I was getting into a potential relationship, I was like, oh my gosh, like I think I identified these habits that my siblings partners had. Oh my God, no. And then I would be strong enough to walk away. And then when I did happen, I was like, fuck, one of them got me. You should have known better. You knew the red flag, but you still went for it because their eyes were beautiful or something. And you're like, damn it. So then I would cry and I would feel like a little self-conscious, and I would be like, damn it, man, that hurt my ego, because I'm like, fuck, like, why would someone do that to me? I'm a great guy and literally do nothing wrong. I'm cute, right? Like, so then my ego was hurt, and then I would blame myself and be so self-conscious from that relationship because I took it to heart when it was really just someone else's personal issues as a narcissist that like got off on hurting people. And people like me who had an ego maybe only acted on it in certain aspects of my most authentic self, through maybe like a deep conversation. And then I feel like I'm then now being taken advantage of, and I'm like, wow, I just opened up to you about something so personal that is like what an intellectual, mature person would want to hear. But no, you took that as like, oh, you're cool, you have a good heart, but now I'm going to also take advantage of you because now I realize you have a good heart, and you're probably going to let me abuse you emotionally.
Yeah, it's because a lot of times we compare ourselves to others and others' relationships or past relationships. We're always in this mindset as humans of like comparing what we have to others. And if we see it's different, we're like, oh, this is just going to like end up in the same situation like them, or it's not going to work because of this. And like we start comparing, and really the dynamic between the two individuals could actually work for them.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work for someone else. And then that's just a part of, I think, where it goes back to fear, I think, on like we're always comparing.
That's why it's the opposite of love is not hate, it's fear. I literally keep telling people this, and it's like it's unlocked my brain. It is literally changed the way that I viewed my emotion, the emotion of hate. I actually now sympathize and empathize with hate. Like I've learned to kind of understand hate in such a way where I'm like, oh my God, when you hate something, it's because in some way, shape, or form
you fear something. It makes you feel lower or something.
When you hate something,
comparison almost.
Yeah, when you hate something, it's not real hate. It's empty. It's empty anger. I see hate as like empty anger in terms of once it's dissipated, once the anger subsides, and you just see that there's like not really that much frustration. You actually just love the person, but something really upset you deeply of that person. So now you have a really strong reaction to them in the state of anger that is only temporary. You refer to it as hate. So when you hate something, it's not that you don't love it. It's that you do, but it's just anger filled. And then the opposite of love is actually fear. When you fear something, you're not even willing to do it. You're not even willing to have a will of said thing that may bring you love. So the opposite of love, the lack of love, is fear. It's crazy how it all made sense in my head.
And that's where, relationships become crazy because they become cloudy.
Yeah.
And it's like we don't really, we're afraid of something, we're fearful of something, but really.
But why? Because we're not aligned with ourselves, and we're not going to be able to align with someone else.
We just had a bad circumstance before. Like say we're
But why? If someone had a bad experience with you ever that is in any way, shape, or form related to cheating or disloyalty, it is because that person is literally not aligned with themselves. And that's a fact. I do not believe that a person who's aligned with themselves in whole cheats on someone or does disloyal things. I think that a person who's saying that I love myself so much that I would never want someone to ever self-destruct and do horrible things to other people, I know that I'm not that person behind closed doors. Then I want someone who's like-minded in the same way. So if that person is willing to do horrible things behind my back, and then be claimed to be an aligned person or a whole person, they're not aligned with themselves. They're not whole. There's a deep rooted insecurity in something, but yet they mask it by being narcissistic. Even if they want to stop, they rather feel and come off as a narcissist than show off being insecure, even though they know that they're really just insecure. It's crazy. I've learned how to identify personality types so well, and this is why like I've been single for so long. It's why I'm like someone who's so anti feeding into the system of what attractive is and what it's not, and healthy is and what it's not.
We can't fit into the mold. Like we can't just be into this mold. Like we have to, like you're saying, love yourself and figure out what you want and need.
I just wish people can like just learn how to differentiate, but differentiate in a way that's not divisive. Like you can say, hey, like you're this kind of person, you're this kind of love style, attachment style, but it doesn't mean that you need to be also labelized and also not labelized. There's just so much extreme titles and emotions and things felt in any said direction. And it's like, it doesn't need to be that extreme. And I keep cutting you off, and I'm sorry. I just feel a flow of this topic. I feel really passionate about this. This is interesting that like I got high on this edible gummy, and it's unlocked me wanting to actually record and talk again, but in a really like new, motivated, and driven way.
Woohoo!
I know. It was like one bite, high points. One hit,
Like
high points. Yes, which is actually the name of our new gig here, because we had to make changes that were
administrative.
Yeah, and advised.
And yeah, so things have been updated. We are now, one hit high points.
And this audio may be like kind of bad because it's been just random on my iPhone.
And, we're still best buds, so, but we're just best buds with one hit high points.
Yeah. Because we, all it takes is one hit and just have a conversation. You just inhale and speak the truth. That's what I say. So thank you. And again, sorry for the audio recording. It's going to be different from here, but I just felt this new passion and felt the need to share with you guys. So thank you.
Or it might actually be wonderful and I can work some magic.
Okay.
And guess what? Good night.
Good night.
And it's Travis.
And it's Creed.
And goodbye.
Bye.
Or wait, see you later.
See you later.